I will just talk a little about nonsense in the beginning, so you can get used to my English and my voice. That's always a new thing, so I will do that. The first word that came up on the screen was dogs, and I saw you looked a little bit amazed. Okay, dogs, yes, right. I believe in simplicity, getting down to the basic. I talk about simple things, because we cannot get to anything complicated without having the simple things there first. A lot of speakers and trainers talk a lot about operant conditioning and this and that and everything, and to me it's totally useless to put a lot of fancy words on. I know them all and I know what they mean, but I never use them anymore, because we need to talk about what this is really about, and that's dogs. And they don't know anything about operant conditioning, believe me. They know how to be dogs. And I think, honestly, I travel all over the world. I've been in 4 continents in a year, and I know it's the same everywhere. We need to get down to the simple things. Maybe you don't believe me. Maybe you think complicated and training and operant conditioning and God knows what. Maybe you do. But I will try to convince you that we need to get down to the basic. We have got too far away from it. So that's why we're talking about dogs. Sorry. About myself a little. I'm probably the oldest in this audience, by far. And that means 2 things. I have a lot of experience. I've seen a lot of changes in what has been happening in the dog world. My first experience with Belgian dog trainers was approximately 20 years ago, and it shocked me. Honestly, it did. It shocked me. And what I see now, the last few years, an explosion in development in Belgium. And I'm very happy to see that happening, because you needed it. Really. And it's probably a little on the old-fashioned style yet, maybe, but the development is there, and you should be happy for it. As long as I've been doing dogs in some way, there's been waves of fashion in dog training, and they come and they go. And most of it are really fashions, and as you know about fashions, short skirts, long skirts, no skirts, God knows what. They come and they go. And it's the same with the fashions in the dog world. So that is one of the reasons why I want to go down to basic, to the simple things, reminding you, because I think you all know this, but I feel I need to remind you what is really at the bottom. And that's not the fashions. It's not this training and that method and that method. It's about the basic. So, maybe I flop completely, that's okay, but that's what I will start with. And you can give me some feedback, what you feel is totally stupid, because you know it all. Or if you feel, yeah, it's good to be reminded sometimes. So, I don't run a training school anymore. I'm actually retired, which means that I'm busy with other things. Some of you might know about that. So mostly I educate dog trainers. And I'm going to have a dog training school here in Belgium starting next year. And I go other places as well. I have training schools in 6 or 7 countries at the moment. That's my ambition, because instead of having a little group doing classes, I feel that I can help those more by educating dog trainers who can go out and do the same. I feel that's important, and that's why I do that. I concentrate on that job. I don't have so many seminars like this anymore, just once in a while. I have a lot of other things going on. I love to have new projects going. I always have projects. And I always do method development, done all my life. And I find it fascinating to cook things down to simpler and simpler and simpler ways of making dogs learn what I want them to learn. And believe me, that has paid off. I'm very happy with the things I have developed, and I'm still working on other things, always. You know, in the early days, many years ago when I started, I don't even dare to mention the time, it was in the 1960s. We learned that a dog needed 80 to 120 repetitions to learn something. Well, I had to test that. And I found out that were they wrong. Because a dog, if you give him the chance to find out, he learns by 1 repetition. They learn so fast. So the 80 to 120 repetitions says a lot about the trainer, not the dog. And if you have a dog who doesn't learn anything from a lot of repetitions, you have to look at yourself, not the dog. And that's why I love to simplify methods, finding what's working, what's natural for the dog, what the dog actually learns best from. And that's what I've been doing all my life. I love that part of it. And that's something more people should do, instead of just copying what they learn from their instructor. People are too much like sheep. They just do what one other sheep is doing. I don't like that. But that's a little bit because of my culture. I'm Norwegian, and we never listen to others. If there are 2 Norwegians in one room, they have a fight. That's okay. So that's not so good either. But I like to teach people to be a little more independent in their way of thinking. Don't always just copy and listen to what others are saying. You have to look for yourselves. And there's one sentence I repeat all the time to my students. Use your brain. I'm completely hooked by brains. I love brains. I really do. And you have brains. Some of you might find it amazing, but you really have brains. And it's up to you to use it or lose it. You have to use it if you're going to keep it and develop it. Otherwise, you lose it. And it's the same with dogs. If we always tell the dog what to do, so they have no chance of using their brains, they lose it. We need to use our brains to develop brain cells. Dogs need to use their brains to develop brain cells. And the more possibility they have for it, the smarter they get. And the quicker they learn, and the better they remember. The same with you. Brain researchers today, very modern brain research, tells us that our brains are so adaptable. Your brains can grow and develop all your lives. That's why I can stand here, being an antiquity, and still use my brain. I've used it all my life, for all my searching and my curious getting into things, and that's why I still have a brain. I never lost it. Same with you. Use it or lose it. That's the one thing that I miss most in dog training today. And I'm trying to teach people to let their dogs develop their brains so they can use it and not lose it. And we're going to talk a little about that. Because I know, and brain researchers today know, how important it is. If we are going to do the thinking for the dog all the time, they get helpless, they get depressed,